Have you ever heard of the man who had everything? Wisdom beyond measure, riches that stunned the world, power that made kings bow, yet still lost it all? This is not a tale of an ordinary ruler. This is the story of King Solomon, the man Lucifer himself feared, until temptation pulled him down a tragic path. Picture Jerusalem at its golden age. The streets are alive with merchants trading spices, gold, and fine linen. The temple, shining with glory, stands as the pride of Israel, a house of worship built for the God of heaven. And at the center of it all sits Solomon, son of David, anointed king, blessed with wisdom straight from God. He was more than a ruler. He was a poet, a builder, a judge, and a teacher of nations. His fame spread across borders. Kings and queens traveled miles just to hear his words. He was the man who asked God for wisdom instead of wealth or power, and received both in overflowing abundance. But like every great rise, there was a fall. And Solomon's fall was as tragic as his rise was glorious. Solomon's life was not only about wisdom and rule. It was filled with passion and desire. He loved deeply, perhaps too deeply. Among his most famous loves was the Shulamite woman, celebrated in the Song of Songs, where passion and beauty are described with unmatched poetry. His heart was tender, and he longed for connection. But Solomon's love extended beyond pure devotion. As his fame grew, so did his desire for alliances. In the ancient world, kings sealed peace with marriages. And Solomon? He didn't just marry for love, he married for strategy. 700 wives, 300 concubines, women from Egypt, Moab, Ammon, Sidon, and countless other nations. Each relationship whispered promises of power, alliances, and influence. But hidden within this sea of affection was a danger. A danger not of the flesh alone, but of the spirit. The warning was clear. From the very beginning, God had told Israel, "Do not marry foreign women who worship false gods, lest they turn your hearts away from me." Solomon knew this command. He had spoken wisdom himself, declaring, "The fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom, but power can dull the edge of obedience." Slowly, like a shadow creeping at sunset, compromise slipped in. Solomon began to build altars not for Yahweh, but for Chemosh, for Molech, for Ashtoreth. Gods of wood, stone, and fire. Gods that demanded sacrifice. And yes, even the sacrifice of children. The once pure heart that had prayed for wisdom now bent before idols. The king who had built the temple of the Lord was now constructing shrines for demons. And Lucifer, once trembling at Solomon's devotion, saw his chance. For no army could conquer this king, no blade could pierce him. But desire, compromise, and pride, they became his silent assassins. The nation that had once looked to Solomon with awe now began to fracture. His heavy taxes and forced labor projects weighed heavily on the people. Discontent brewed in the shadows. God, who had appeared to Solomon twice, was now grieved. Twice he had warned him, and twice Solomon had ignored. The man who once heard God's voice as clearly as thunder now chose to drown it out with flutes, harps, and the praises of foreign queens. And then came the prophecy. The Lord declared, "Since you have not kept my covenant, I will surely tear the kingdom away from you and give it to your servant. Yet for the sake of your father David, I will not do it during your lifetime. I will tear it out of the hand of your son." Imagine the weight of those words. The golden kingdom of Israel, built in splendor, destined for division because of one man's choices. Enemies rose against him. Hadad the Edomite, Rezin of Zobah, Jeroboam, a young leader in Israel, destined to rebel. The once united kingdom began to crack, its glory fading like a dying flame. In his later years, Solomon was no longer the radiant king who composed psalms of love and wisdom. His heart was heavy, his spirit restless. He wrote the book of Ecclesiastes, a haunting reflection of his life. Meaningless, meaningless. All is meaningless under the sun. The man who once tasted every pleasure, every delight, every treasure, now looked back and saw emptiness. His palaces, his wealth, his fame, all dust. His wives and their gods, nothing but stumbling blocks. And perhaps, in those last days, Solomon realized the bitter truth, that true wisdom is not in what you build or whom you love, but in fearing God and keeping his commandments. When Solomon died, his kingdom was left in turmoil. His son Rehoboam's harshness triggered rebellion. 10 tribes tore away, leaving only Judah and Benjamin. The once golden kingdom of Israel split in two, never to be united again. The story of Solomon is not just history, it's a warning. A man blessed with everything still lost it all because he let his heart drift from God. His tragic end reminds us, wisdom without obedience is empty. Wealth without devotion is fragile. And love without boundaries can destroy. But his story also leaves us with hope, that even in our failures, we can turn back to God before it's too late. In our next story, we'll uncover another mystery. The powerful king in the Bible Lucifer feared until he fell. A ruler so mighty that even the enemy trembled at his name, until pride brought him crashing down. Stay tuned. You won't want to miss it.